Social media is a free platform that you can use to connect with potential leads, build a brand, grow your business, and stand out from your competition. But most small business owners are not leveraging it properly. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to show you the mistakes that most small business owners are making when it comes to social media and what you should do instead so you can grow your business and dominate your industry. Welcome to Marketing Domination. So we are continuing through our series of Marketing Domination, what our framework is that we put our clients through. We did the first phase, which is all about helping you to build a sales funnel. Phase 2 is all about content that we're talking about now is about filling your sales funnel. And then after this, we're going to be getting into how to optimize your sales funnel. And one way that you can fill your sales funnel is with organic social media content. And people have a love-hate relationship with social media. I know that I do. I've been very fortunate to grow a business and a brand through social media. I also have tons of frustrations with the platform. And after myself, our businesses, and working with clients, I wanted to share the mistakes that I see people are making that keep them in this state of frustration. So you just don't keep doing more of the same. So you're able to see results quicker and leverage this platform. Because like I said in the intro, this is a free tool. If you think about other advertising platforms and mediums there are, like, you have to pay for it. If you want to be on a billboard, that costs a lot of money. TV costs a lot of money. Radio costs a lot of money. If you think of direct mailers, all of these traditional marketing methods, like, they cost a lot of money. And I catch myself doing this as well, sometimes complaining about, oh, it's the algorithm, or, oh man, I'm not getting the reach I used to, and complaining about all these things. But I often have to make check myself before I wreck myself. This is a free tool. It's free. The only thing that it costs is your time, but it is a free platform that you can use to grow your business, and it is free. It only takes your time and effort to put into it, but again, it is free. Now, in the future, I don't know how evergreen this episode will be, because there are more and more platforms that are going like membership-based models and stuff for expanded reach and perks and stuff like that, which unfortunately I disagree with. But at the same time, from the entrepreneur business side, I understand why they're doing it. And unfortunately, I do think more and more platforms will be going to a paid membership model. But until they do, it is still free for us to get engagement and content from our customers. So we're going to leverage the heck out of this thing so we can grow our business. So the main two things of why I see small business owners and just people in general get frustrated with social media when it comes trying to grow their businesses, two things. Number one is they are not doing enough quantity for enough time. I saw this a lot. You guys know I was in the fitness industry, if you didn't know that, for a very long time. I owned lots of gyms, did a lot of stuff in the online training space. But I saw the exact same thing with people's health and fitness as I do with small business owners in their social media. Oh, well, I tried that. It just doesn't work. How long did you try that for? I tried weighing and measuring my food. It just didn't work. I didn't lose any weight. Okay, well, how long did you try it for? I mean, it was at least 7 days. Okay, listen, I don't think that people realize, put health and fitness aside, but in social media world, because you will see or hear terms like, oh, they went viral, they blew up overnight. People think that that is the norm, when that is the exception. It's not even something that you should be striving for with your social media strategy for your small business. You should not be trying to go viral, because we're trying to create longevity and industry domination. And that's not with a single viral post. It's a consistent system, but enough of that. So you have to realize what it takes to consistently do this. Remember, it is free. It's going to take time, work, effort, and energy, and it's going to take more than what you expect. I would say most small business owners' expectation is that they are going to post something on social media, 3 to 5 times a week. And that's going to be really good for helping them to grow their business and get tons of leads and stuff from social media. It's not honestly the case, especially if you want to see what other people are doing in your industry. If you look at industry dominators, people that are truly the experts in their fields, from small businesses to personal brands, and the amount and volume of content that they're putting out, it is most people that are at the top level are putting out more content in 1 to 2 days than most businesses are doing in 1 to 2 months. So they're just doing things at a bigger volume than what most businesses are willing to do it for. The other thing that you have to realize, remember, we're not trying to go viral. Not only have they been doing volume, but they've also been doing volume for longer. Most people think that, oh, I opened up a social media account. Most small business owners, when we start working with them, they've had a social media account that they opened up whenever their business started. They'll post out, once every couple of weeks and think that that's been good. Then we start working with them, and then they might be posting consistently for a month. Like, we've been doing this for a month, and nothing's really happened. Like, well, no, it's going to take time. You have to realize the length of time that it takes to truly grow a brand, and then also how long some of these other people that you follow have been doing it. You have to understand with social media, even though there is short-term benefits and short-term effects and low-hanging fruit that you can grab with it, it really should be viewed as a long-term brand building strategy and lead generation strategy. There's lots of different ways to leverage these platforms, but for the most part, you need to view this as a longer term play. Go into it with that mindset, so that way you're going to be hopefully less frustrated as you are consistently putting in things out there online and not too many people are engaging with it at first as you are trying to grow this brand. Because as you are putting this content out there and it's not getting engagement, that's problem number 2. So number 1 is you've not been doing enough quantity for enough time, and you're frustrated because point number 2 is, this is the real loving talk here, your content is just not that good. I'm sorry. I know that you spend a lot of time on it, but it's not that good. And now this is what I say that with love, but also just like real talk truth. I say this to my clients, and I have to say this to myself all the time, is 2 big things. 1, change the word algorithm to people. Don't say, oh, the algorithm doesn't like my content. No, people don't like your content. If your content was really good, trust me, the algorithm is not against you. The algorithm's job is to keep people sucked in on the platform. So if your content is keeping people engaged and sucked in on the platform, they want to show it to people. If it's not, means it's not good for the platform. And so they're not going to continue to show it to a lot of people. The other thing that you need to realize also, just on the algorithm caveat, algorithms are always changing. Don't try to figure out the algorithm. Again, set the expectation of a long-term strategy and realize that if you just consistently add value over time, the algorithm will start working for you because you're going to be creating things that people actually want to watch and engage with. So your content isn't that great. Sorry. What do you need to do to make good content, and what institutes as good content? I think that it's 3 things. And most people, whenever they're creating content, I think they focus these in the opposite order. So I'll tell you the wrong way, and then I'm going to show you how the opposite makes a lot more sense if you start looking at the content that you consume. So the first thing that people think they should be doing when it comes to their content is production, how it's produced. Oh, I need to get really nice camera, lighting, and microphones and all of this stuff. It needs to be really good quality of video because I'm a business. I want my business to be, seen in a professional light. I get all that stuff. That shouldn't be the number 1 priority. That should be the last priority. So they focus first on the production quality and what the actual asset looks like. Most small businesses also, they overly brand stuff to where they want their logos and their brand colors on everything. Again, I get it. But if you look at the content that people most likely consume on social media, it's not like that. It looks more raw, organic, and natural content. So that's the first thing, is they're focusing too much on production quality. The second thing that they're focusing on is what's actually inside. That's the content. What is the meat of the substance about? Whether that be them teaching a topic, answering like an FAQ, showing how to do something, what's actually inside of the content that they're creating. What's it all about? Why should somebody watch it? Typically it's the things people say is it should be entertaining, inspiring, or educational. I very much believe that, especially for the types of businesses that we work with professional services, is we want to be creating that type of content to either inspire, entertain, but mostly the kind of content I push people to is educate, because we want to stand out as the industry leader. That's not done with entertaining TikTok dance videos. That's done by adding tons of value and showing that you are the industry leader with your expertise. So the final thing that people think of, and I think that this is the biggest missed mark for content creators, small business owners, people trying to leverage social media, is how it's delivered. So what I mean by that is how the video starts, how quickly you're able to get to the point of the information, how the content is actually structured. Because most people, what they'll do is they're doing these things in these opposite orders, but I think that that order should be flipped. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to think about how we're going to structure and deliver our content. That's going to be set up. If you look at, again, the most viral videos, the type of content you actually probably engage with, it got right to the point. It jumped right into the video. They started delivering you value quickly, whether that be something that's inspiring, entertaining, or educational. It's coming at you quickly. There's not these big, huge, long intros. I intentionally, by the way, set my podcast up and the videos that I do up that way, where it's typically just we get right into it. There's not going to be like a huge 30-second intro of thanking all of these sponsors and all of this stuff. Like, we just want to get right into it. After we know how we're packaging it and delivering the content, well, two is we got to make sure that the content that's actually inside is good. Are we actually providing accurate, good information that's adding value to people, that's positioning us as an expert, that is inspiring them or even entertaining it? If it is inspirational, is it really motivating people? If it is entertaining, well, is it actually funny? I think that I'm funny. Sometimes my kids say I do, but a lot of times people say that I'm not. So, hey, guess what? Maybe it's not just that funny. And then the other thing is, if you're educating somebody, is the information good? Is it relevant? Can they take action on it? Is it something that they can use to help them with whatever problem it is that you solve? Then after you have those things, then you can start looking at and focusing on production quality. Because if you look at some of the most viral videos, they are just shot on an iPhone, and maybe they have like one of those like Rode mics or something that's like one of those wireless mics. Maybe if you look at some of the most common popular videos, that short form videos that are on social media, that's what it is. So you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on a nice camera and a light kit and microphones and all this stuff. You have a cell phone. You can do all of this from there. And if you focus on flipping that order, I guarantee you will start making better content. Like I said, those are two huge mistakes that I see business owners making, is they're not doing enough quantity for long enough time, and their content just isn't that good. So how do we fix it? Well, this is what I want to share with you next, is kind of my better, or I would say different, a way of doing it, my new approach to doing it that I share with my clients whenever they want to start leveraging social media for getting more leads, growing their brand, and standing out from their competition. So the first thing that you need to do, I would say overall big picture, and this is kind of the theme with all of this stuff. And for me, this is always my aha moment of keeping myself humble and keeping my eye on the prize. Realize that you are not that special. And what I mean by that is how you do things is how your customers do things. So put that lens and filter on everything. So think about this. How you consume social media content is how your customers or potential customers are going to be consuming social media. The type of content you engage with. Start making yourself more aware of how you actually do things. And so that way, as you are starting to do this for your business, for your customers, you can start putting that lens and filter on it. Because as you start doing all of this consistently and you're spending more time and focused effort on creating content and it's not doing that well, think about that same thing as the content you're just sitting there aimlessly scrolling by. It's nothing personal against you. It's just about improving your skills and realizing, again, you're not that special. So yes, you took time, effort, and energy creating this content. Don't think that everybody's going to be scrolling. Oh my, did you see this video? I'm going to share this with everyone I know. It's so life-changing. Like, no, come on. Let's be real. Like, how often do you do that? So again, how you do things, how your potential customers are going to be doing things. So use that as the overall filter for creating all of this stuff, and just honestly for viewing your business in general. The other thing with that to note is, through that lens and filter, think about how often you have to see content from a brand before you start engaging with it. Think about how often you've had to get value from a social media post before you started even following it, liking, commenting, and engaging with it and everything. So again, how you do things is how your customers are going to do things, because you're not that special. You're just like them. You're somebody else's potential customer. So think about that as you create all this stuff. The other thing to think about, or so that's the overall theme. The first thing to think about whenever creating your social media strategy for your small business is to realize how you're going to leverage social media. So we talked about this in one of the previous episodes whenever it came to building your online storefront. There's a lot of different ways to leverage social media. So the primary purpose of this episode is talking about creating organic content. There's a lot of other ways to leverage social media. You can do paid ads, you can do cold direct message outreach through it. And even just with organic content and social media in general, how are you leveraging it, and what's going to be the purpose of your business? Is it going to be to generate leads and sales, or is it more so just going to be social proof of a digital billboard? So when somebody comes to your website and they see you have, a YouTube or an Instagram or Facebook or something like that, and they just click on it, they just want to see that you are an active business and that you're posting content. So that's the first main thing that I talk with businesses, like, okay, how are we going to leverage social media? Is this something that you actually want to get behind, and you want to be known as the industry leader, and you want to be creating content and really stand out with your brand? Or are we more so just going to be using this to put content up to show potential customers that you are active online, and maybe show a little bit of personality, maybe some behind the scenes things? Because based upon that answer is kind of going to dictate the flow of the type of content you should be creating, how often you should be creating it, the types of things to create, all of that. Because if you're just going to be using it as social proof that you are a human being and your business is still active, it's a lot less than if you are actually trying to use it to generate leads and sales, which the types of businesses that we work with, that's typically what they're wanting to do, is they're wanting to stand out as the industry leader. So it means we're going to have a really strong social presence in order to do that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, realize that once you pick your path, whichever one it is, whichever way, how you do, I love the quote of, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're going to make the decision to go down one of these paths, whether it be the social billboard or we're going to use it to generate leads and sales, do it right. Don't just go through the motions with this stuff. If you're going to take the time, effort, and energy to do something, man, I don't know. I do know, as a small business owner, time is your greatest resource and the thing that you are scrambling to find the most of. So if you're going to take any of that away to start doing this social media content, make it worth your time. Don't just sit there and waste it and go through the motions just so you can say you did it and tried it. Figure out how to make this work. And it's going to be about creating systems and everything for you. But if you're going to do it right. The third thing is, how to do it right is, there's already people that have figured this out. You don't have to be a trailblazer with small business social media content creation. Look and model at what's working and what is doing well in your niche. So whenever we're doing this for our clients, we talk about two different types of comps or competitors. We actually leverage this for when it comes to website design, SEO, and content strategy, is you have two different types of competitors. You have we actually have three different types, but for this example, we're going to talk about the two different types. So you have the national competitors. These are the industry leaders, the dominators. Then you have the local competitors. So these are people that are either local geographically or local because they're about the same size as you. Maybe they are smaller, what people would call like micro influencers or micro content creators and stuff like that. So where they don't have like the millions and millions of followers, but they're still seeing traction and success online. So what you want to do is you want to just start leveraging the platforms, not as the business owner, but think about how a potential customer would engage with it. Because most of your competition or most of your potential leads and customers don't use social media like you do. So you, whatever industry you're in, you are probably following and know all the big industry leaders and other people that do what you do. Your customers probably don't. Like even the people that I follow on social media, whether it be people like, Gary Vaynerchuk and Alex Hermosi and Donald Miller and some of these bigger business thought leader, Dan Martell influencers, when customers come to me through social media, most of them have never even heard of those people. So even though they have a really big online reputation, most people that are potential customers aren't consuming the same type of content you are as the business owner and industry leader, somebody that eats, sleeps, and breathes what you do. And they're following their friends, people from college, coworkers that they work with, maybe some funny, stand-up comedians or meme accounts and stuff like that. Like they're not following every single person in your industry. So they don't know who some of those people are. So whenever you are creating this content and looking and modeling what works, like you have to realize your customers aren't doing that. So as we're looking and modeling what works, we want to look for those big industry leader competitors. What are they doing? What type of content are they creating that seems to be getting lots of engagement? How long are their videos? Are they doing more videos? Are they doing more images? Do they have a consistent theme with it? How many times a day are they posting? How long is the post copy? How long is the videos? How often do the videos change scenes? Like how many cuts are there in a video? What kind of music are they using? Are they using trending audio? Do they add their own audio on it before it? What I would do, and this is what we do, is I would create a spreadsheet, like a Google sheet, and I would just start off on a platform. Something like Instagram would be the easiest one to do it. Do it on the computer, so your desktop app, and just go to Instagram and just start looking at your competitors. Go through the search and start searching for keywords of what you do in your industry. And then I would just start taking the top accounts and I would put them in a spreadsheet. Then for each one of those top accounts, I would look on their profiles and you can, if you're on Instagram, for example, you can click and you can look at just the Reels tab. And I would look at the ones that are getting the most likes, comments, views, and I would keep a track of their top, 10 at least posts over the past 6 months. And so I would scroll through and I would look through all of those. And let's say you found 10 competitors and then you've got their top 10 performing posts. There's 100 posts right there. That's a ton of content. Then I would go through there and I would start looking for patterns. Okay, well, how long was their intro? What are the kind of things that they're saying to hook people? What types of content are they creating? Is it informational? Is it inspirational? Entertaining? What types of things are they doing? How are they mixing that in? Look and study all of that stuff, because once you start looking at enough big creators that are in your space, the types of content that you're creating, you're going to start seeing patterns emerge. The same thing applies for local businesses. Whenever you're looking at your local competitors, whether it be similar size or the geographical region, with local, we're more so just wanting to kind of keep a pulse on things, because again, most local small business owners are not leveraging this properly. So just because somebody is doing something and doing something consistently doesn't mean that it's actually working. They just might be stuck in a rut. So that's why I typically like to look at some of the big national leaders and see what they're doing, because typically they are, if they're big, they're doing it consistently. So they're actually studying this and they're paying more attention typically. So that way you're going to be able to have a better idea of what's working, versus like you have like your local competitor, like, oh, they're crushing it on social media. I hear that all the time. And then whenever you look at their stats and everything, they're really not crushing it. They just found a way to be consistent with something that's not working, which that's not at all what we're trying to do. So first thing that we're trying to do, guys, decide how you're going to leverage social media for your small business. Second thing is we want to start modeling what's working. And then the third thing is that we want to do is we want to build our system. I'm a huge systems and frameworks guy. That's why we're literally going through our marketing domination framework of the build, fill, and optimize your sales funnel. So I love systems, and this is how I would create a content system for a small business owner. The first thing that I would do is, after I've done I know how I'm going to use it, and I've started looking at my comps, the first step that I would do is I would start creating the content from a copy standpoint. So I'm going to start writing all of my post captions out. I would do this in a Google sheet. It's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet, and I would have like post 1, write all the copy out. Post 2, write all the copy out. And then depending on the types of content that you're going to be creating based upon the research that you've done, whether they're images with like a real video over it, or if it's like talking head type video, I would find all that stuff out. I'd write all the post copy. So what's going to actually be the caption on social media platforms. And then the next thing I would do is I would start kind of bullet pointing out my scripts for my videos and everything. So I wouldn't just go and start recording it and knocking all this stuff out. I would type all of that stuff out first, because that, to me, if you are organized with it, you're going to be able to stay consistent with it. So I want to make sure that all the content is created, or the copy and the scripts and bullet points are created first. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to batch create things. So I think another common mistake that small business owners are making is they're not able to be consistent with it. And one of the reasons why is they're not batch creating things. So it's a Monday morning and they're like, oh, we don't have any social media posts this week. Let's go film some people real quick. And they'll just try to make some social media stuff on the fly, and there's no system around it. What I personally do and what I recommend to everybody is you have a filming day. So again, as a small business owner, it's not a surprise that you need to grow and market your business. So set a day on the calendar each month that is filming day. It's a lot easier to take 2 hours one day a month than to feel pressured, every Monday to feel like you got to come up with the social media content for that month, for that week. So what we'll typically do is we'll batch create stuff based upon that spreadsheet that we have. So that way we can do all of our filming and everything and creating the assets at one time. After I do that, I'm a big, like I said, systems, frameworks, and organized guy. So I would also then be creating all of this content and storing it on something like a Google Drive. So I personally would create several small subfolders for the types of content that I'm creating. And as I'm having these film days, I would also create a bunch of stuff that's called B-roll. So that's just, imagine if I had a camera setting up right now, shooting me from the side, filming a podcast episode, that could be B-roll, to where I would have all of my B-roll organized into folders, whether it be like me talking with clients, me filming a podcast, me building a website, me working on SEO reports, and I would have all of that stuff shot into little folders. So then if you look at top performing content, it typically has B-roll in it, which is just extra footage instead of just somebody sitting there talking or just a static image. So that B-roll can be used forever. Like, you don't have to always shoot B-roll for what you do. So you can take all of that stuff and keep it organized. So then that way, as you have this content, it's really easy to make things look new and fresh just by adding B-roll and everything on top of it. So I would stay super organized with how I am adding my content in, because again, if you're organized, you're going to be more consistent with it, which is what's going to get you the better results. And then the other thing that I would start looking at is building a team and getting help with this. Because again, as a small business owner, you are busy, you are short on time, and it is difficult to get all of this stuff done. So that's where you can look at starting to build a team and maybe possibly outsource some of this stuff. You can start off maybe local and small with just a staff member that wants to start helping with this stuff. And maybe they can do the editing part of it for you or the posting part of it, and start looking at somebody in-house that you have this, or you can start looking at outsourcing this stuff to an agency to help you. Just like we talked about SEO agency mistakes that business owners make on the last episode, one thing that I will say with all of this is, if you are outsourcing this to an agency, look at the kind of stuff that they've posted in the past, because one big mistake that the small business owners make, like we talked about, is the content's just not that good. When you go to outsource this stuff and people are just posting stock images for you with quotes and stuff on it, that's not getting you results. So you need to have a reality check. Don't say you're doing social media because you hired some stock agency or something like that, to where people are just posting these random photos with like quotes on top of them. Again, you're not that special. So think about how you engage with content. You are not engaging with any content like that. And that's probably why, if you are doing that, it's getting, 1 to 5 likes each post that you do, because nobody's actually liking and engaging with it, because it's not inspiring, educational or entertaining. So think about that stuff as you start outsourcing. The things that I think that are really good to outsource would be things like editing the content, posting, maybe coming up with the captions and scripts for you. But at the end of the day, if you look at what's working very well on social media right now, it is video content. So somebody needs to be on video. And if you're trying to be the industry leader, it needs to be you or one of the people on your leadership team, or a brand spokesperson that actually works at the company. Don't outsource the video on screen presence, but you can outsource the editing, the scripting, the research, and all of that stuff that it takes. So realize this: it doesn't take as much as you think to get started. for doing this. And if you truly want to stand out as the industry leader, you must make this work for your small business. And so keep it simple for yourself. Start with what you have and scale from there. So it's much better if you would just create one great, I put effort into piece of content per week versus 3 to 5 stock images with quotes that aren't really working for you. So it's not about volume at first. I think that you should start with quality, then go into quantity, when most people do the opposite. They're like, oh, let's just throw some stuff out there and then let's try and start making it better. Don't do that. Focus on quality content, then learn how to scale quality up, because quality scaled is always going to beat, just scaled poo, if you will. So guys, I hope this helps. Again, there's tons with this that we're going to be going over more and more detail. I want you to realize just a few things and big takeaways. If you're being frustrated with social media and how it's not working for your small business, realize that the content probably just isn't that good. If you're honest with yourself, it's just not that good. And you haven't been doing it consistently enough as far as volume for consistently enough amount of time. So in order to do that and to make it work for yourself, you need to do a few things. You need to decide how you're leveraging social media so you can go all in and do it the right way. You need to model what's working. Look at these industry competitors, what they're doing to stand out so their social content starts working, and then build a system that supports consistency. Quality consistency is what you're trying to build. So as you're doing this, it's based upon the type of content that you're going to be creating, the systems and the team members that you currently have in place, but build your system so you can be consistent, because whenever you're consistent, that's whenever you're going to start truly seeing success with this. So guys, have an awesome day. Go out there, create some content, go be the industry leader, grow your business, and dominate your industry.